The alarm sounded 3 times before Dr. June Kim looked up from his desk. It was late at night in the year 2087, and most of the staff at the Titan Deep Space Monitoring Station had gone to bed. Only June remained in the main lab working on some old signal patterns from the edge of the solar system. "Computer, what's the alarm for?" June asked, rubbing his tired eyes. "Unknown signal detected beyond Kuiper Belt. Pattern suggests non-natural origin," the computer replied in its flat voice. June sat up straight, suddenly wide awake. Non-natural meant only one thing. Someone or something out there was sending a message. After decades of listening to the stars, humanity might have finally heard a reply. "Show me the data," he said. The screen lit up with wave patterns unlike anything June had seen before. They pulsed with a steady rhythm that couldn't be random. His heart beat faster as he studied them. "Computer, wake up the team. Tell them it's important." Within 30 minutes, the lab was full. 6 tired scientists in rumpled clothes stared at the main screen while June explained what they were seeing. "The signal repeats every 47 seconds, he said. "It's coming from a point about 2 light days beyond the Kuiper Belt. That's too close to be from another star system." "Could it be one of our old probes?" asked Min, the youngest team member. June shook his head. "We checked that first. All Earth probes are accounted for." The room fell silent as everyone understood what this meant. After all the years of searching, the answer to humanity's oldest question had arrived. "We are not alone. We need to tell Earth," said Dr. Sun, the station director. "But first, let's make sure this is real." For 3 days, they checked and double-checked their findings. They ruled out equipment errors, cosmic radiation, and other natural causes. The signal continued, unchanging in its pattern, clearly waiting for a response. On the 4th day, they sent a simple return signal, a series of prime numbers, the universal language of mathematics. 8 hours later, they received a new signal, one that contained basic images. "It's a first contact protocol," June said with wonder as he decoded the alien message. "They're teaching us their language." Over the next few months, June barely slept. He led the team that worked to understand the alien language. They learned that the aliens called themselves the Visari, a race of beings that looked somewhat like large insects, but with highly advanced technology. The United Earth government declared the contact the most important event in human history. They built a special communications center near the Titan station and brought in more scientists and language experts to help June's team. By the 6th month, they could hold basic conversations with the Vesari. The aliens explained they had been watching Earth for many years, studying human broadcasts and learning about Earth culture. Now they wanted to meet in person. "They want to meet at a point between our worlds," June explained to the Earth leaders in a video call. "They say they come in peace and wish to share knowledge." The world's nations debated what to do. Some people feared the aliens might attack Earth. Others were excited about meeting beings from another world. In the end, curiosity won. Earth would send a ship to meet the Visari. Captain Sukli stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, the most advanced spaceship humans had ever built. She had been chosen to lead this historic mission because of her calm nature and her experience as both a soldier and a diplomat. "Pre-launch checks complete, Captain," said her second-in-command, Commander Tae Park. "All systems ready?" Suk nodded and looked around at her crew. They were the best Earth had to offer. Scientists, diplomats, and soldiers, all trained for this mission. But nothing could truly prepare them for what they might find. "Take us out, Commander," she ordered. The Horizon left Earth orbit smoothly, carrying 120 crew members in the hopes of all humanity. Their journey would take 3 weeks to reach the meeting point beyond the solar system. Tae Park watched them stars through the ship's viewport. Unlike most of the crew who were excited about meeting the aliens, he felt uneasy. "Do you ever wonder why they chose now to contact us?" he asked Suk one night as they shared a meal in her private quarters. "What do you mean?" she asked. "They've been watching us for years," they said. "Why not contact us sooner? Or wait longer? What changed to make them reach out now?" Suk considered his words. "You don't trust them?" "I trust what I can see and touch," Tae replied. We know nothing about these beings except what they've told us. That's why we're going to meet them, Suk said, to learn the truth. But in private, she shared some of Ty's concerns. The Visari had been friendly so far, but Earth was taking a huge risk sending the Horizon so far from home. As the days passed, Suk noticed the crew splitting into two groups. Most were like Dr. Mina Kang, the ship's xenobiologist, who spent hours imagining what the Visari might look like and dreaming of the wonders they might share. Think of what we could learn from them, Mina said during a crew meeting. They've been exploring space while humans were still figuring out how to make fire, their medicine, their technology. It could change everything for us. Others were, like Tay, quiet and watchful, preparing for any possible threat. Suk tried to balance both views, keeping the crew ready but hopeful. On the final day of their journey, Suk called the crew together. "Tomorrow we make history," she said. "We will be the first humans to meet beings from another world. Whatever happens, remember that you represent not just yourselves or your countries but all of humanity. Let's show the Visari the best of what humans can be." That night, few people slept. The ship hummed with nervous energy as everyone prepared for first contact. The next morning, the sensors detected something massive appearing at the meeting point. "Visual contact in 10 seconds, reported the sensor officer. The main screen showed empty space, then suddenly a huge shape appeared. It wasn't a ship as humans understood them. It looked more like a living thing, a massive structure of curved organic-looking material that shifted and changed as they watched. "It's beautiful," whispered Mina. "And big," added Tay. "At least 5 times larger than the Horizon." A message came through their communication system. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We are the Visari. We welcome you to the stars." Suk stepped forward, aware that billions of people back on Earth were watching this moment through the ship's cameras. "On behalf of all humanity, we return your greeting," she said clearly. "We come in peace and friendship." The massive Visari ship opened like a flower, revealing a docking area where the Horizon could connect. As Suk gave the order to move forward, she caught Tay's eye. He nodded slightly, letting her know that he and his security team were ready for anything. The two ships joined, and humanity prepared to meet its first alien friends, or possibly its first alien enemies. Either way, the universe would never be the same again. 6 months had passed since the first meeting between humans and the Visari. The aliens had kept their word about peace. They built a large embassy in Seoul, South Korea, where they met with human leaders and scientists every day. The Visari gifts changed life on Earth quickly. They shared clean energy systems that worked better than anything humans had made. They taught doctors how to cure diseases that had killed millions. They even gave humans special devices that could send messages faster than light, allowing people on Earth to talk with the Horizon crew in real time. In return, humans shared their music, books, movies, and art. The Visari seemed hungry for these things, especially stories about human feelings and relationships. Dr. Hana Choi watched the aliens closely. As a brain doctor who studied how minds work, she was one of the few people who spoke with the Visari every day. Her job was to help humans and aliens understand each other better. "They're changing," she told her assistant one morning as they prepared for another meeting. "Have you noticed?" Her assistant June looked up from his computer. "What do you mean?" "When the Visari first arrived, they all acted the same. They spoke in the same way, made the same movements. But now they're different from each other." Jun thought about it. "I guess Ambassador Vrith does seem more relaxed than the others." Hana nodded. "And Zila asked for extra spicy food yesterday. She said she liked the burning feeling." "Since when? Do they have food preferences?" This wasn't the only strange thing. Visari used to make all decisions as a group, but now some were making choices on their own. Ambassador Vrith had started collecting old Korean music records. Another Visari named Mel spent hours watching human children play in parks. That afternoon, Hana met with Vrith in her office. The tall insect-like alien moved with a grace that still surprised her. His hard outer shell was a deep blue color, and his forearms moved in careful patterns as he spoke. "Dr. Choi, thank you for meeting with me," Vrith said. His voice came from a small device at his neck that translated his clicking sounds into human language. "Of course, Ambassador. How can I help you today?" Vrith's large eyes blinked slowly. "I have been experiencing something new. When I listened to the song you shared last week, the one about the lost love, I felt a pain here." He pointed to his chest area. "But I was not injured. How is this possible?" Hana sat forward, interested. "I think you felt sadness, Ambassador. It's an emotion humans feel when we lose something or someone important to us." "Emotion?" Vrith repeated the word slowly. "We Visari understand emotions as a concept, but we do not experience them as you do. We are connected to the hive mind. Individual feelings would disrupt our unity." "Yet you felt something when you heard the song," Hana pointed out. Vrith was quiet for a long moment. "Yes, and I have not told the others. This was new. Visari were supposed to share all information with their hive mind. The idea that Vrith was keeping secrets was both exciting and worrying. Meanwhile, far from Earth, Dr. Jin Yoon led a small team exploring an abandoned Visari outpost they had found in a distant part of the solar system. The Visari had given humans permission to study it, saying it was an old research station they no longer needed. Jin floated through the dark halls of the station, his spacesuit light showing the way. The place felt empty, but not in a normal way. It was as if someone had cleaned it too well, removing any signs of what had happened there. "Over here," called his team member, Dr. Leah Moon. "I found something." Jin pushed himself through the zero-gravity to where Leah waited by a sealed door. She had connected her computer to the alien control panel and was trying to open it. "The Visari gave us access codes to the whole station," Jin said. "Why isn't this door opening?" "Because they didn't want us to see what's inside," Leah answered. "But I think I can bypass it." After an hour of work, the door slid open with a hiss. Inside was a small room filled with data storage devices. Jin connected their translator to one of the devices, and strange symbols appeared on his screen. "This is going to take a while to translate," he said. "Let's download everything and study it on our ship." 3 days later, Jin stared at his screen in horror. The data they had found contained records of other alien species. 17 different ones that the Visari had contacted before finding humans. "Look at the dates," he told Leah. "The Visari met the Krell about 50 Earth years ago. They traded technology just like with us, but 20 years later, all records of the Krell stop. It's like they disappeared." "And the same thing happened with all 17 species," Leah added. "They meet the Visari, trade with them, then about 20 to 30 years later, nothing. No more records." Jin's hands shook as he prepared a message to send back to Earth. "We need to warn them. Something isn't right." But when he tried to send the message, the system showed an error. All communications were blocked. "That's impossible," Jin said. "The faster-than-light system the Visari gave us always works." Leah checked her own system. "Mine's blocked too. Someone doesn't want us talking to Earth." Back on Earth, Admiral Suk, Lee, who had been promoted after the successful first contact mission, sat in her office reading reports. The world had changed so much in just 6 months. Visari technology had solved energy problems, reduced pollution, and saved countless lives with new medical treatments. Yet something bothered Suk. She had remained cautious even as most people celebrated the new friendship with the aliens. Her computer beeped, showing a secure message had arrived. It was from Tae Park, who now worked closely with the Visari as a security officer. The message was short and coded. "They're not sharing everything. Something happens to their bodies when they spend time with us. I think we're changing them somehow." Suk frowned. Tae had been watching the Visari carefully, looking for any signs of danger. If he was worried, she should be too. She wrote back, "Find out more. Be careful." At the Seoul Embassy, Ambassador Vrith stood alone in his private room. He had started requesting private space recently. something no Vasari had ever done before. He held a small music player in one hand, listening to a sad human song that made him feel that strange pain again. A message came through on his communication device. It was from the Vasari High Command. Report to Central Ship immediately. Concerns. About contamination. Some ambassadors showing irregular behavior. Vrith turned off the music player and hid it in a drawer. For the first time in his life, he did not want to share his experiences with the Hive. For the first time, he wanted something just for himself. As he prepared to leave, he stopped to look at a human painting on his wall, a gift from Dr. Choi. It showed a sunset over mountains, simple but beautiful. The sight made him feel another new sensation, something warm and pleasant. The High Command was calling these feelings contamination. But to Vrith, they felt like something else. Something worth protecting, even from his own people. 3 years had passed since the Vasari first came to Earth. Life had changed in ways no one could have imagined before. Cities were cleaner, people were healthier, and space travel was becoming common thanks to Vasari technology. But strange, things were happening with the Vasari on Earth. Some began to act in ways that shocked even the humans who worked with them every day. Dr. Hana Choi was in her lab when she got the call about Ambassador Vrith. "He's locked himself in his room and won't come out," said the worried human aide. "He says he needs to be alone, but Vasari are never alone. They don't like it." Hana hurried to the embassy. When she reached Vrith's door, she could hear music, playing inside, an old Korean love song that she had shared with him months ago. "Ambassador Vrith? It's Dr. Choi. May I come in?" The door opened slowly. Inside, Vrith sat in a corner, his large insect-like body curled up in a way Hana had never seen before. His normally bright blue shell looked darker, and his forearms were wrapped around his body. "What's wrong?" Hana asked softly. "They're taking Zila away," Vrith said. His voice sounded different, shaky and higher than normal. "Back to the home world. They say she is broken." "Broken? Is she sick?" "No." She showed emotion, in front of the High Command. Vrith's large eyes blinked rapidly. She laughed, Dr. Choi. She heard a human child make a joke and she laughed. The command said she was contaminated and needed to be fixed. Hana sat down across from him. "And this upsets you?" "Yes," Vrith whispered. "Because I am contaminated, too." He looked at her directly. "I feel things now. Sadness, joy, fear. I should report myself. But I don't want to be fixed. I want to keep these feelings." Hana realized something important was happening. The Vasari were changing because of their contact with humans. They were developing emotions, becoming individuals instead of parts of a hive mind. Across the city, Admiral Suk Lee was meeting with Commander Tae Park. They hadn't seen each other in months because Tae had been working undercover, watching the Vasari closely. "What I'm about to tell you must stay secret," Tae said. His face looked tired and worried. "I found evidence of what the Vasari did to those 17 other species they contacted before us." Suk leaned forward. "Tell me." "They harvest them, Admiral. When they decide a species has nothing more to offer, they take everything, resources, technology, even the people themselves. The previous species weren't destroyed, they were collected like samples." "Are you sure?" Suk asked, her voice steady despite her shock. Tae nodded. "I found their plans in a hidden database. Earth is scheduled for harvest in 7 more years. They're just waiting until they've learned everything they can from us. Then we need to prepare," Suk said. "Alert the defense forces." "There's more," Tae interrupted. "Something unexpected is happening. The Vasari, who have spent the most time with humans, are changing. They're developing emotions, individual thoughts, and many of them are refusing to participate in the harvest plan." "They're on our side?" Suk asked. "Some of them, yes. They've never experienced emotions before meeting us. It's changing them completely." Far away in deep space, Dr. Jin Yoon and his team had been hiding in the abandoned Vasari outpost for 3 years. After discovering the truth about the previous species and finding their communications blocked, they decided to stay and gather more information. instead of returning to Earth. "I think I've finally broken their code," Jin told his team as they gathered around a small table. The 5 scientists looked thin and tired after years of living on limited supplies, but their eyes were bright with purpose. "The emotional transfer is the key," Jin explained. "Human emotions are contagious to the Visari, like a virus but not harmful. When they spend time around us, they start to feel things. Their brains actually change." "But why?" asked Leah Moon, who had stayed with Jin all this time. "Because we're so different from them," Jin said. "Humans feel things strongly and individually. Visari think as a group. Being near our emotional patterns disrupts their hive connection and lets them develop as individuals." "So we're changing them just by being ourselves," Leah said with wonder. Jin nodded. "And the High Command is terrified of it. They've never faced anything like this before. They can't study emotions or control them." Back on Earth, a message arrived for Admiral Suk. It came through a private channel that Tay had set up, bypassing normal communication systems. The message was from Ambassador Vrith. "Must speak with you. Danger coming. Meet tonight." That night, Suk went alone to a quiet park where Vrith waited. The tall alien looked different. His movements were more human-like, less stiff than before. "Thank you for coming," Vrith said. "I am risking everything to tell you this." He paused, seeming to struggle with his words. "I care about humans now. I have friends here. I have feelings." "I understand," Suk said calmly. "Commander Park told me about the changes some Visari are experiencing." "Then you know we are divided," Vrith continued. "Those who have spent time with humans are developing emotions. Those who haven't still follow the old ways, the harvest." "When will it happen?" Suk asked directly. "Sooner than planned. The High Command has seen what's happening to us. They're afraid. They've sent a purification fleet to cleanse Earth and remove all traces of human emotional contamination before it can spread further." Suk felt cold despite the warm night. "How much time do we have?" 3 weeks, Vrith said. "But I am not alone. Many Visari who have lived among humans will fight with you. We call ourselves the Awakened now." "How many?" "About 1/3 of all Visari on Earth. But we are cut off from the hive mind now. We are seen as broken, contaminated." Suk looked at the alien who was risking everything to help humanity. "You're not broken, Ambassador. You've just become more like us. An individual." Vrith's eyes seemed to shine. "Yes, and I would rather die as an individual than live as a mindless part of the hive." At that moment, Suk's phone rang. It was a secure call from a number she didn't recognize. "Admiral Lee," she answered. "Admiral, this is Dr. Jin Yoon. We've managed to break through the communication block. Listen carefully, we don't have much time. The Visari harvest worlds by first sending a signal that weakens defenses. I've figured out how to disrupt that signal, but we'll need to act fast." "Dr. Yoon, you're alive?" Suk was shocked. Jin and his team had been presumed dead years ago when their communication stopped. "Very much alive, and we've been studying the Visari this whole time." "Admiral, there's something important you need to know. Human emotions are changing the Visari. It's our greatest weapon against them." "I know," Suk said, looking at Vrith. "I'm standing with one of the Awakened right now." As they spoke on the other side of the embassy, Dr. Hana Choi was making a discovery that would change everything. She had been studying brain scans of Visari before and after prolonged human contact. "It's not just psychological," she whispered to herself as she looked at the images. "Their brains are physically changing. Human emotion is literally reshaping their minds." She quickly gathered her data and headed for Admiral Lee's office. They had only 3 weeks to prepare for an attack from space, but they also had something the Visari High Command never expected. Aliens who were becoming their friends, who were willing to fight against their own kind to protect humanity. The coming battle would not just be fought with weapons, but with something much more powerful. The ability to feel, to care, to love. The very things that made humans human. The next 3 weeks were the busiest in human history. All around the world, people prepared for the coming Visari attack. They moved important things underground, trained soldiers to use Vesari weapons, and built new defense systems based on what Vrith and the other awakened Visari shared. Admiral Suk Lee worked day and night, sleeping only a few hours at a time. She had to make Earth ready while keeping people from panicking. "What are our chances?" she asked during a late meeting with her top team. Commander Tay Park, who now worked with both human and awakened Visari fighters, shook his head. "Not good. Their ships have better weapons and stronger shields. In a normal fight, we would lose." "But this isn't normal," Dr. Hana Choi reminded them. She pointed to her screen showing brain scans. "The Visari who spend time with humans develop emotions. Their minds change physically. If we can spread this effect to the attacking Visari, that's where I come in," said Dr. Jin Yoon through a video link. He and his team had finally returned from the abandoned outpost, bringing valuable information. "I've created a transmission that can speed up the emotional awakening in other Visari. It's like a song that makes them feel things." "Will it work through their ship shields?" Suk asked. "Not from a distance," Jin admitted. "We need to get transmitters inside their ships or very close to them." Tay leaned forward. "I can lead a team to infiltrate their command ship. Many of the awakened know how to move through Visari vessels without being detected." Suk nodded. "That's our plan then. Earth's ships will defend as best they can while Tay's team plants the transmitters. Dr. Choi and the awakened will help spread the emotional effect to as many Visari as possible." In another part of the building, Ambassador Vrith met with other awakened Visari. There were hundreds now, all experiencing emotions for the first time. "The High Command calls us broken," Vrith told them. "They say human emotions have damaged us. But I have felt joy when listening to music. I have felt friendship with humans who welcomed me. I have felt sadness when others suffer. These feelings don't make me weak, they make me more alive than I've ever been." The other awakened clicked their agreement. One of them, a female named Mira who had spent much time studying human art, stepped forward. "I was part of 2 previous harvests," she admitted. "I felt nothing then. The species we took were just resources to use. But now I understand what we did. I feel shame for it." Her voice shook with emotion. "I will not let it happen to humans." Across the world, ordinary people prepared for what might be humanity's last days. Some prayed, some spent time with family, others volunteered to fight knowing they might not survive. In Seoul, a small girl named Sun brought a drawing to a Visari named Kel, who had been teaching at her school. The picture showed a human child holding hands with a blue Visari. Under soap, she had written, "My friend." Kel looked at the drawing for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice translation device couldn't hide the emotion. "Thank you, son. I will keep this forever." That night, Kel joined the awakened. The day came too quickly. Earth's sensors detected the purification fleet entering the solar system. 5 massive ships heading straight for Earth. Admiral Suk stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, Earth's newest ship built with Visari technology. Around the planet, hundreds of smaller ships prepared for battle. "All ships report ready, Admiral," her communications officer said. "And the infiltration team? Commander Park and 20 awakened are in position. They'll use the battle as cover to board the command ship." Suk took a deep breath. "Send this message to all ships. Remember what we fight for today. Not just our lives, but our way of life. Our ability to feel, to care, to love. The things that make us human. These are our real weapons today." The battle began in Earth's orbit. The Visari ships were huge, at least 10 times larger than Earth's biggest vessels. They fired strange weapons that seemed to bend space around Earth's ships, but the human captains fought with tricks and quick moves that the hive-minded Visari couldn't predict. Where Visari attacked in perfect patterns, humans made unexpected choices, surprising the enemy again and again. "They're confused by our tactics," Vrith explained as he watched the battle from Earth. "The hive mind expects perfect, logical responses. Humans act on instinct and emotion, which the hive can't understand." On the command ship, Tay and his team of Awakened moved silently through dark service tunnels. Each carried a small transmitter designed by Jinn to broadcast the emotional awakening signal throughout the ship. Place them near air systems and main power lines, Tay instructed. We need the signal to reach as many Visari as possible. As they worked, the battle raged outside. Earth's ships fought bravely, but they were taking heavy damage. 3 had already been destroyed and others were badly hurt. We're running out of time, Tay told his team. Split up, place your transmitters and meet back at the escape pods. He moved deeper into the ship, heading for the central control room. If he could place a transmitter there, it would affect the highest-ranking Visari controlling the attack. Meanwhile, Jinn monitored the signals from his lab on Earth. The first transmitters are active, he told Sook through their communication link. But it's not enough yet. We need more coverage. Tay's team is still working, Sook replied. Can you boost the signal strength? I'm trying, but... Jinn stopped suddenly. Wait. Something's happening. Some of the Visari on the smaller ships are already responding. Their communication patterns are changing. On the battlefield, strange things began to happen. Some Visari ships stopped firing. Others broke formation, moving away from Earth instead of toward it. They're feeling the emotions, Hana realized as she watched. They're experiencing fear, doubt, empathy, maybe for the first time ever. In the command ship, Tai had reached the central control room. He hid in the shadows, watching the tall Visari commanders directing the battle. They looked like Vrith and the other Visari he knew, but they moved differently, stiff and perfectly coordinated, with no individual movements. Tai waited for his chance, then rolled the transmitter into the center of the room. It looked like a small metal ball, easy to miss unless you knew what it was. One of the commanders noticed it and moved closer to look. Just as he reached for it, Tay activated it remotely. The effect was immediate. The commander froze, his forearms twitching. Then he made a sound no one had heard from a Visari before, a cry of confusion and fear. What is happening to me? The commander said, his voice shaking. I feel, you feel, Tay said, stepping out of the shadows. For the first time in your life, you're experiencing emotions like humans do. The other commanders moved toward Tay, but they too began to show signs of the emotional awakening. Some grabbed their heads as if in pain, others backed away in fear. The main commander pointed at Tay. What have you done to us? Make it stop. I can't, Tay said simply. Once you start feeling, you can't go back. Ask your friends on Earth, the ones you called contaminated. They wouldn't give up their emotions even to save their lives. Across the ship, across the fleet, the same thing was happening. Visari soldiers and crew were experiencing emotions for the first time. Many couldn't handle it at first, dropping their weapons or freezing in place as new feelings washed over them. The battle wasn't won with weapons after all. It was won with feelings, human feelings that spread through the Visari like a wave, changing them forever. 5 years had passed since the battle above Earth. The world had changed in ways no one could have imagined before. Admiral Sook Lee stood by the large window in the new Galactic Council building in Geneva. From here, she could see both human and Visari ships coming and going peacefully. Some carried people, others goods, all moving between Earth and the stars. Thinking about the old days? Asked a familiar voice behind her. Sook turned to see Commander Tay Park, now Ambassador Park, walking toward her. He looked older, with some gray in his hair, but his eyes were bright and alert as always. Hard not to on days like this, Sook replied. 5 years exactly since the battle, Tay nodded. 5 years since we almost lost everything, and 5 years since we gained so much more. After the battle, things had moved quickly. The Visari Empire had split into 2 groups, the traditionalists who rejected emotions and retreated to distant space, and the awakened who embraced their new emotional awareness and formed a friendship with humans. With help from the awakened, humans had also found something shocking, survivors from the 17 species the Visari had harvested before. These beings had been kept in special sleep chambers, studied like animals in a zoo. Now they were free, rebuilding their cultures with human and awakened help. The council meeting starts in 10 minutes, Tay reminded Suk. Dr. Choi is presenting her new findings. They walked together to the large round room where representatives from 12 different species now met regularly. Humans and Visari made up the largest groups, but there were also members of the freed species, the bird-like krell, the small furry lant, and others still recovering from their time in captivity. Dr. Hana Choi stood at the center of the room, ready to speak. Over the past 5 years, she had become the leading expert on cross-species emotional development, studying how emotions spread between different beings. Thank you all for coming, Hana began. Today, I'm sharing the results of 5 years of research into what we now call emotional resonance. She showed images of brain scans on the large screen. We've confirmed that human emotions actually change the physical structure of Visari brains through a kind of biological frequency we never knew existed before. It's not telepathy or mind reading. It's more like emotional contagion. Humans feel so strongly that our emotional patterns override the Visari hive-mind connection. Ambassador Vrith, who now led the awakened Visari, clicked his agreement. What humans call feelings, we once saw as weakness. We were wrong. Emotions don't make you weak. They connect you to others in ways the hive mind never could. A Krell representative, whose people had been one of the first harvested by the old Visari Empire, raised a wing. But why didn't this emotional transfer happen with our species? Why only humans? Good question, Hana said. We've found that human emotions are unusually strong and diverse compared to other species. Where most beings have a narrow range of emotional responses, humans experience emotions in complex layers and combinations. This creates a more powerful resonance field. In simple terms, Tay added, humans feel things more intensely than most species. Our joy, love, anger, hope, they're all turned up louder than normal. After the meeting, Suk visited the memorial hall. This quiet space honored those lost in the battle and celebrated the new friendships that had grown from it. At the center stood a simple stone with words in many languages, the human version. Rid. They came as conquerors, they became our friends. As Suk stood there, she heard soft footsteps behind her. Admiral Lee, said a small voice. Suk turned to see a young lant child. The small furry being looked up at her with large eyes. My grandfather was kept asleep for 50 years by the old Visari, the child said. He told me that if humans hadn't changed things, our people would never have woken up again. Thank you. Suk smiled gently. It wasn't just humans who saved your grandfather. The awakened Visari fought against their own people to help us. I know, the child nodded. My best friend is Visari. We go to school together. This was the greatest change of all, Suk thought as she watched the child leave. Children of different species growing up together, learning from each other, becoming friends. Across the city, in a classroom filled with children from 6 different species, Dr. Jin Yoon was teaching a special class about the battle. So that's how humans and the awakened Visari worked together. He finished his story. Not with better weapons or stronger ships, but with feelings. A human boy raised his hand. But Dr. Yoon, my dad says the traditionalist Visari are still out there. Will they come back to hurt us? Jin nodded seriously. Some Visari did choose to keep their hive mind and reject emotions. They left for distant space. But they're getting fewer every year. Even among the traditionalists, emotions are slowly spreading. Because feelings are contagious? Asked a young Krell. Exactly, Jin smiled. Especially hope and friendship. Those might be the most contagious feelings of all. That evening, Suk, Tai, Hana, Jin, and Vrith met for dinner at a small restaurant, a tradition they had kept for 5 years. They were the core group who had led the defense of Earth and the birth of the new alliance. I have news, Jin said as they ate. I'm leading a new mission beyond known space. We're taking human and Visari scientists to explore together. Sounds exciting, Hana said. When do you leave? Next month. We'll be gone for 2 years. Jin looked at his friends. It's amazing to think how far we've come. 10 years ago, humans had never met aliens. Now we're exploring the galaxy together. Vrith, who now moved and spoke in ways that seemed almost human, raised his drink. 2 unexpected friendships. They all joined the toast. As they talked and laughed together, people passing by might not have noticed anything unusual, just a group of friends enjoying each other's company. The fact that one of them had hard blue skin and 4 arms seemed unimportant compared to the connection they shared. Later that night, Suk walked home alone, looking up at the stars. More of them had names now, and some had planets where humans were welcome visitors. The universe had turned out to be both more dangerous and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. Her communication device beeped with a message from Jin's exploration ship. Final preparations complete. The friendship leaves on schedule next month. The crew, 50 humans, 40 Visari, 10 Krell, and 8 Lant, sends their regards. Suk smiled at the ship's name. Friendship. In the end, that had been humanity's greatest discovery and greatest gift to the galaxy. Not their technology or resources, but their capacity to connect, to care, to turn even former enemies into friends. She remembered something Vrith had said during the darkest days of the battle. For millennia, we thought ourselves superior because we conquered. You taught us there is more strength in connection than in control. The Vesari had come to harvest Earth. Instead, they had found something they never expected. Beings whose emotions were strong enough to change them, to awaken them to a new way of experiencing the universe. They had come as conquerors. They had become friends. And that had made all the difference.